Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now, another important factor in this whole scanning issue is going to be nullsec, and a lot of people don't understand why it's going to be such a big issue, and I'm going to explain it to the best of my ability with as little running around as possible when it comes to these aspects. So here's what's going to happen in nullsec. A lot of us are going to try and complete dead spaces, and we're going to try and complete other types of high-end missions in nullsec, but we're not going to get that comfort from having those easy completions like we are so used to at the moment. We're going to be plagued with a ton of players who will come in and scout us for killing people while they're busy with activities, and it's going to make a lot of the things that we do in terms of strategy a lot less useful. Hiding away at a station in the middle of nowhere isn't a possibility anymore. All the stations become visible when someone scans it. So when large fleet engagements happen, if you're trying to hide a secret station or you're using a secret station as an attack point, that's no longer an option. That tactic has been removed from the game with the ability for you to scan player items. Now, what does this mean for the future of the game and for the future of other players? Well, it means that you're going to have to work out new tactics to staying safe. Corps like Silent and Genesis, who hide a lot of stations out in the middle of nowhere, where you once had not a dead space, what are these called, anomalies, is one of the things that they did. They go out to where an anomaly was, and the anomalies will be 2.5 or 5.5 of a planet, and they will hide the station in that region. Now, I'm guilty of doing that myself. I've helped people hide stations inside some of these spots during T8 and T9 regular smalls. We wipe out that anomaly very quickly, and then we just go in and we wait for it to disappear. Once it disappears, we actually then deploy a whole lot of stations and whatever else needs to be deployed in that region, and that's how we were getting through a lot of the things in terms of nullsec. So yeah, that is some of the things that you have to be watching out for. A lot of players are going to play that strategy. It's a very viable strategy for taking care of some of the more problematic issues within the game. Okay, there we go, I've got that. Now, beyond all of that, there's still more to it. In order to get dead spaces now, you need someone to scan. That means you have a reduction in tanking, or you have a reduction in the ability to deal excess DPS. And I know that doesn't sound like a massive major issue, but it is a massive major issue because it's going to change a lot of your dynamic in terms of combat. You're going to have problems with players evading you all the time, players running away from combat, and you're going to have some players who find ways around all of these basic systems. So that is something you need to be thinking about. The scanning is going to be something which you need someone to do. So how do you do this? Well, considering that alternate accounts are not an issue in this game, you're going to need an alternate. But just having an alternate might not be enough, because I'm not 100% sure if scanning is regulated to T9. If scanning is regulated to T9, then an alternate isn't even good enough for it. You need someone who already has an alternate up to that level. And with this, it makes them way more important than they were previously, and you are definitely going to need the assistance of these players to actually make a profit. Now, you might not understand why I'm saying they are so important to make a profit in the game, but as I explain it, it will become more and more feasible for you to understand the need for these players to join your team. Okay, so first of all, with these players having that ability to scan for you, it removes that need for you to have a scanning ship. So you don't have to have it privately. If you're a person who is doing one-man big missions like this here, you can go and move in the rest of your alts into place, and you can have them sitting at the gate, ready to swat out anybody who comes and interferes with you. Because even a T6 ship or a T7 ship can swat out the fleet if you position it right and if you put the right items into that ship. So for example, you could have a fleet full of easy T8 battle cruisers, not T8, sorry, T7 battle cruisers, all sitting as your alts to do dead spaces, and you can just sit there on the verge and you can swat out anybody who tries to take your dead space. That is one of the advantages. You can also use it as a good way to deter players from actually fighting you for your dead space. Ooh, thank goodness. I was actually worried that I'd actually have to fight the wrong ship first. Now, when it comes to that whole section in nullsec, remember these are mechanics that are changing your save routines, your break routines. All of these things change when it comes to playing in nullsec. If you're in a nullsec corp and you're so used to doing all of these dead spaces 24/7, you no longer have that opportunity on you because it's gone. There's never going to be the chance to do dead space after dead space after dead space without having to have to worry about someone jumping in and ganking you. And if you see dead spaces, you just have to fly through and have it. You actually have to have a scanning ship, go through, scan the sector, see if there's a dead space in it, and if there is a nihilist portal. And you're going to scan all of that, you're going to gather all that information, and you're going to get your fleets together. So it's going to be a good idea to have at least 2 or 3 players in your alliance, if you're an nullsec alliance, scanning all the sectors all the time around you. And this will be the short range and the long range scanning. All of this makes a difference to everything that you do. I'm taking heavy damage from this one. A little bit shocked about it. Not something I didn't expect. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I'm drifting off topic. As you can see, I'm getting a little bit distracted. And that's normal for me. I get distracted when I'm busy playing and fighting. It's one of the reasons why I said I love doing these things in stations. So in nullsec, the next thing that makes everything a massive change for you is going to be running around and fighting. Now, when you fight in nullsec, there are several things that are important for you to note. First of all, in nullsec, when you fight, you're going to want to hold up a lot of extra fittings on your ships this time. Now, normally you have the guy who runs the long-range interception, the guy who's running high-end DPS, and you are quite dangerous to most players, but you aren't that dangerous to a PvP set player. And I'm not trying to be mean or cruel about it, but you aren't at that level to actually be a threat to him. So you're going to have to think about it very carefully on how you want to face off against those players. You need to have a plan in motion. You need to have something set for you to take on a pure PvP player. And it may not be as simple as I'm making it sound. I know that it isn't as simple, but you're going to have to focus on these things and get yourself ready to face off against players who are doing these weird strategies to try and catch you in terms of where you are in nullsec. Okay, I don't have to keep that on, otherwise I'll run out of cap, and running out of cap is worse than running out of shield. You might not understand that, but if my cap runs out, my resistance drops instantly and I can't instantly regen everything as fast as I would if I activate my other 2 settings. Plus this Ferox is more settled to do long range damage by the looks of it, so I'm just getting under its guns right now, and that's how come I have such an advantage. To pick that up as fast as possible. And with that, here comes a quick run into the next one. Okay, so let's get back into what's next for nullsec. So you're going to set up all these teams, and when you are running in nullsec, the next thing which is going to be unbelievably paramount is your strategy. Now I know that a lot of players are going to be like, yeah, we already have strategies in place, we know what we're doing, we don't need some YouTuber to tell us how to play the game, we know how it works. You know what, I know that is a fact for a lot of players, but it's not going to be everything for everyone, right? You're going to want to set up new strategies as well, because beyond all of this, there are going to be things outside of your control. And you might not believe me that things are going to be outside of your control, but trust me, there are players who are going to make things unbelievably difficult for you. When they run around with their fleets to actually take on other players, they're going to jump in with disruption. They're going to jump in with something like a Balgon. And if you're running around in your regular battle cruiser fleet, you might be able to take on the Balgon for a few seconds, but that Balgon can drain every ship around you, and you can't use Evo against the Balgon. Balgons are immune to it. So remember, that is something they're going to do against you as a strategy. So this is the nullsec strategy part of this entire thing. You need to think ahead. You need to think about what a player is going to run into you with. They're going to run into you with heavy defense. So you know that you're going to have to be able to break a shield wall. So you're going to need a strategy for taking out the shield wall. Remember, I have discussed it before. Some of the mechanics have changed slightly, but you can still use my basic strategy to bust a shield wall. And that is just the start of it. If you bust through shield walls efficiently enough, it's going to be an asset to you moving forward. It isn't a negative against you at any time if you can break through a person's Moa Guardian wall, or if you can break through a nightmare and destroy an entire fleet of high-end ships. That is a positive for you. It doesn't hurt you at all to know how to do these things, so always keep it as an option for yourself to go through some of these strategies and play them on your own when it comes to the next section of the game. Now, beyond all of this, when it comes to holding up your positions for running a dead space, make sure that your team is comprised properly. A lot of players will go in with a haphazard team. In other words, you have one guy who's the catcher, one guy who isn't the catcher. Time is everything right now. Someone jumps in the sector and they scan, they'll spot you and they will have a chance to attack you when you're leaving. Or they can set up an ambush. They can do a lot more than what they used to do previously just because of the change in that one mechanic. Now, you might not think that it makes that big of a difference, but trust me, it does. You can have a guy running something like, let's see, if I'm running something to stop people from doing dead spaces, you can have a guy running a Balgon plus a Nightmare, or a Balgon Nightmare Raven, which is what I said is a good idea for low sec. It's also a good idea for ganking players. It's also a good idea for completing those missions, dead spaces, and any type of special anomaly that you get. Now, those are things which are going to be very important. Using those ships becomes even more paramount when it comes to securing areas. You're going to need these elite players. You're going to need players who are secure with them. You're going to have to make sure they have insurance in place to replace those vessels. They are very expensive to replace as well. And you're going to have shipments of excess weapons into your territories to secure them. Now, here are all of the things that follow up with it. You will get another video from me talking purely about Nihilist Space. And that is going to be the next one in the series. I know I started off with making free ISK. I showed you how I do it. I showed you through the process. I hope that that doesn't change too much for how you view my videos, because that is the process. A lot of people accuse me of just making random guesses, but now you know how long it takes to actually prepare some of that information. I actually gave it to you in that format because some people accused me in the past of not knowing what I'm talking about, and now you understand how I get my info. I actually do it, and this is me doing some of them. Normally I drop out of these missions, sit inside a station and give this entire talk with everything clear in my mind without having to have to wander around with the topic. Okay, come on, let's smash him up. Get rid of the tickler, and then I'll take care of the big gun. Wait, no, I'll take care of the big gun first. Then we speed towards him. Oh no, it's not your time. Gave myself excess speed for no reason for a few seconds. Does hurt me a little bit in terms of full speed. Oh, he's in range already. How nice of him. Nah, I just dropped out of range. Okay, so as you can see, I'm taking on these missions right now, so I'm getting a little bit distracted with it. I went silent for a few seconds. That is an accident because I'm looking at this mission so heavy. Now let me get back to the point in nullsec. Everything that I explained is going to help you with taking on those encounters. So you're going to get your dead spaces, you're going to secure everything. But what about you who want to PvP? Obviously, you're going to want to have countermeasures in place for those who aren't going to follow this protocol. And this is where you get to PvP in the gank. I know that I normally don't give a gank mechanic helper, but in this case, you know what? Why not? It's what everybody does, so yeah, I'll give you all a way to gank faster. So for all of you who want to gank and you want to play the game with that particular mechanic as your strong point, this is what you're going to need to do. Number one, get your fleet ready with those same strong ships. Your Balgons, your Nightmare for defense, and also on top of that, pair it up with a Raven. Now the reason for that is if anybody tries to drift out from a certain range of you or tries to outclass you with speed, the Balgon got them finished. They can't keep up an afterburner, they can't keep up a micro warp drive against the Balgon. Balgon has almost unlimited power against small ships, so don't even worry about what anyone can do against you if you're using the Balgon. So yeah, that's the first piece of advice I have for you. So use the Balgon as your trump. The skill that it has is unbelievably different. Oh my goodness. One moment. Okay, so as I was saying, the skill with the Balgon is unbelievably difficult to defend against. It can wipe out a fleet, and there isn't anything anybody can do to stop you if you are using your Balgon correctly. Think about it carefully. The Balgon has an unbelievable amount of power when it comes to disruptive technology. It has the ability to wipe out shields. So you play it on a close range brawler strategy. If you're jumping in after someone scans for you, you scan where they are, you get the marker, you'll jump in as a fleet, they ignoring all fleet commands. So you'll jump in together, you'll jump onto an innocent player, and you'll smash them to Kingdom Come. The rule on it is never attack player numbers greater than 3. It's always good for you to take on the same number or lower. Now, why am I saying don't take on more than 3? This is the reason. A lot of players are going to use this as a trick. You're going to throw in 4 players into a dead space. They're going to look like a nice tasty meal because they're all in battleships, in battle cruisers, or you'll see 1 battleship amongst them. It's not a threat to 3 faction battleships. But the moment you jump in, all of a sudden you're going to see spawning around you is Balgon, Vindicator, Nightmare, and now you having the Nightmare because they have turned it around on you. It's a reverse trap, right? So if you are going to gank, remember to keep your strategy clear. Obviously, you know some places people aren't rich enough to have those heavy ships, so you can jump in and take on 4 and 5. You can take on even 10 players if you're running those 3 ships. They are quite powerful, but against battleships they only hold a 2-to-1 advantage, so 6 battleships will take them on effectively. Armageddons are a nightmare for nightmares, so be careful about running into Armageddons. And be careful for Dominics, because the Dominics can also take out a Nightmare quite effectively with its heavy drone control. The fact that it doesn't limit it to just using one type. Okay, let's see how far I am. I don't allow anybody to look into the Discord at all. That is just the way that I have been since I started. Okay, this should be down in a matter of seconds. Whoa, did I just hit a 0? So close, it shouldn't have done that. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be gone in a matter of seconds. No loot from the previous shop. Okay, so that is fine. Okay, sorry about that whole debacle that I had there. I accidentally clicked on a message. So that is everything that you need to know for your nullsec. The next video coming out after this will be a Nihilist Space strategy for you to use in Nihilist Space. It's not 100%, but please try and use it if you can. It should be quite a lot of fun for you who are going to end up living in Nihilist Space over your regular space. So catch you all then. Have a good day.